Okay, this is Ron. I'm just going to bombard you with questions as if you're a real police officer. I'm not going to allow you to speak much because I'm going to use the fire to people in the circumstances. Okay, so anyway, my name is Daniel. This is Charles. We're the natural people in living flesh and flowing blood, and we're acting, but at the same time we're giving information. So this is an interview as if we were interviewing a police officer for real. Okay, and that's all the explanation you're going to get, because if you watch, you're going to see other points of view. So, okay, here we go. Okay, you're not a real police officer, correct?
Very correct.
What's the difference between you and a police officer, in your opinion?
First of all, uniform superiority they feel they have.
What separates you from being like me? The difference?
Nothing.
Okay, so if you were a police officer, you would have a family too, right?
That's right.
Okay, and if you were a police officer, you may not patrol in the same area that your family lives in, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and also, where did you get that uniform?
I got it off a guy in a trailer park that someone left behind. It was for free.
Yeah, I've seen them in thrift stores too, all sorts. Security uniforms, yeah. FBI jackets, sheriff's uniforms and jackets. Okay, so now, basically, you know, as a police officer, okay, if you see other white cops doing things, how come you don't speak up? Okay, why aren't white cops going on strike? Why aren't black cops, your fellow officers, going on strike? Okay, when you stop and give somebody a ticket, you know, and you come into their lives and take money away from them, you know, and you get paid for it, you know, don't you think that they're the kids of your friends, their parents are the ones that are paying for it? Are they all guilty just because they can't afford a financial circumstance?
In our system, they're guilty.
In your system, they're guilty. Right, right. So, you know, and like your dog, like say if you have a police dog, you know, what makes your dog more superior than mine? If your dog is protecting you and my dog's protecting me, isn't that the same thing as an officer just shooting a member of my family?
Your dog can get shot, though. Mine can't. If you do shoot mine, you're going to get charged with a felony.
Right. Right, and you're allowed to handle drugs and stuff like that at your liberty, and even possess them for training purposes, but yet that's not a crime.
Not at all.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, basically...
I can carry it anywhere I want.
Right, and you feel like you can carry a gun around and nobody else has the right to either. You know, how many lives did you actually save with your hands, getting them dirty or bloody, you know, actually picking up a life by the time your 20-year career ends or your 30-year career? You know? And what happens if you go to work? You know, maybe you know, things didn't go right if you have a family with your wife. You know, maybe you got financial problems, and when you show up to work, you know, I mean, what, you just got to go to work anyway, right?
I think what comes along with the uniform is this idealism as a cop that we live this fantasy world. And it's really what it is, a fantasy, because we're really not heroes. We're not saving people, but we want to portray ourselves. The costume.
And I'm like, okay, you know, your kids playing video games and they go on the hunt, you know, they pick up a weapon and they go hunt something. You know, a person that goes to hunt something in nature, an animal, they pick up, you know, what difference would that be, you know, getting in a piece of emergency equipment and having that gun and go saying, okay, there's my target. I can't eat that person, but that person is going to create revenue and put money in my pocket so I can feed my family. You know, what's the difference, really?
That's what it is.
You know? And to intimidate people with the uniform on, you know, and you know that the court people are going to protect you. You know, the state's attorneys. What if the state's attorneys weren't there to protect you? What if your fellow officers didn't agree with what you're doing?
That's why the system's there.
Exactly. So the system protects the system.
Yes.
And you know, and even though we're neighbors, and once you take the uniform off and go home and clock out, you know, or you're on your lunchtime, or we're reading the same magazine, we're the same. But all of a sudden, you and your family feels good about, you know, coming against me and my family.
It's sad, but it's what it is.
There's really not much. I mean, there seems to be a whole big amount of substance about what to say about, you know, how a police officer feels, why they don't do what they do. But, you know, the biggest difference is once you put on that uniform, it doesn't matter, because the whole cloak of that aura just allows you to live a double life separate.
It's almost like you have to go into a video game mode, you know. If you're playing a video game, you have to get into that video game to play that video game. It's the same thing. I would see myself as a cop. I have to get into the cop mode in this game as a cop.
They probably have to do that too, you know, even if they're feeling sick or imbalanced, if it's their shift.
Yeah.
You know. And if you felt like your family was getting beat up, you'd show up charged, like wanting to save them. So, you know, a cop does something, and it's not necessarily lawful or even correct along the lines of civil rights, then, their buddies show up, they want to protect their own.
Well, even as Shallow was saying, my family, well, let's get deeper. My family's friends, my family's family's friends, my family's family. All those people benefit by me.
Association, thank you, sir.
Association is huge when you're a cop. I mean, people become my friend.
Just a side note, use city, county circumstance to pick up that top. That's a $10 billable thing right there. And as a contractor for that, I could actually bill the state and get $2 out of that $10, or 20% for us to pick up that thing using city equipment if you were a real cop. Because technically that's how it will work. I mean, in a circumstance that's real. I mean, I expected us when we sit down with this particular thing that it would be emotional, but really, it's just point blank, black and white at that, because the minute you address something, it's like everything becomes irrelevant. So I had planned to sit down and okay, let me interview an officer. But I know you're not an officer. You could be. You could take that uniform right there and fortify it. A citizen on patrol. So, I mean, I guess there's really not much to this interview, but it's everybody feels what's going on. Imagine being able to confront and interview and interrogate the police to that point. We should be able to, right?
I think that's part of the new system we should have. Yeah. Holding people accountable.
Like sitting right here, this should be a black police officer saying, okay, well, I don't stand up and say I don't agree with the white officers or the other officers because why? You're scared. And you're getting paid, and you feel you're going to be, okay, this isn't politically correct, say you're going to be blackballed from the situation. This isn't marbled. You're going to be marbled from the situation.
You won't benefit, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's all about benefit, you know that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy,
It's all beneficial,
Yeah.
Becoming better at the job. What's better at the job, honestly? What is
Create
that?
more revenue. Yeah.
Build up that stature.
Yeah, and you have really technically, without any formal complaint or anything, you have to be at least the same age or older than me to actually come into my life and judge me, because my path of life is based on my age and experience. So if you have no artistic experience, in my personal case, if you're not 46 at least, if you're not a male, and if you don't have artistic experience and this kind of lifestyle, you can't even approach me.
You can't communicate.
Right, you can't even communicate because you don't have anything to say, because you're basing it on an assumed formality and equation of life that not everybody follows, and obviously is dysfunctional and doesn't work properly. So you got nothing to stand on, you got nothing to place me in with that standing. So a person, an individual like me,
Well, what's crazy is, statistics. That's what they use, statistics.
Yeah, an
so
average.
You don't fit statistically into a group, let's say. Yeah. I know I don't in the real world,
Yeah.
So, but how do you judge me then? Because you're basing your job off of statistics. Usually, That's the problem. Cops, they don't put their hearts into being a cop. Instead, they put their training or whatever it is that they go through and what they hear from their peers. They don't collect information outside of a certain group is what I'm trying to say.
Well, we're discovering as we go along. Okay, so now just in my mind is okay, he avoids the statistics and the diversity by, once he has that badge, he can operate in there, whether he is honorable or not, whether he is, justified or not per situation that he presents. It all goes under there, which makes it correct over the standing that I am a capital letter name and I am a number. So even though my life is different, just because I use the money and agree to the license for the sake of ID, not for the sake of running it like a credit card and issuing charges, but once I have that in my possession and it's been delivered to me, I've been placed and profiled with a discriminating, biased prejudice to exist under this class of people. of individuals that is under the class that you are biasly placed into, which is why you have young cops with attitudes. You know, you have old cops with resent. Okay, on my side, our side, you have criminals who are evil. You have people that are inadequate and don't make the standard to even take care of themselves or operate safely. So there is a balance, and there's no justification over, you know, over my side if you were actually a policeman. And you know, custom agents have told me this too. There is no extra jurisdiction they have. It's all based on paperwork. You know, because if I look at you as Charlie instead of officer, even on record, I am acknowledging the man, not the badge. Okay, and if you acknowledge me as Daniel Chiotis, you're not acknowledging me as a natural man. You're acknowledging me as the commercial entity that was, you know, taken over via my last name being copyrighted and agreed upon by my parents. Well, you know, I wasn't 18 when that happened, and when I got 18, I didn't know. So all those contracts are voided. And that can go for anybody too, because you can't make decisions when you're a baby. And once you have those numbers issued to you, you mature just like a loan or a commodity or you know, or an asset. And then they got their hands in you. So then they create revenue by every action you do. You know, if you earn instead of making an income, they're going to charge you based on the numbers just because you're using and agreeing to the numbers. You know, you're traveling, they're going to say you're driving. You know, you're building, no, you're actually producing and renovating instead of, you know, assembling your home. So they're going to come in with code enforcement too, businesses. It extends all past this.
That's why I believe it's almost like a job detail of theirs to create criminals.
Yeah.
Because creating a criminal creates revenue, and that's a for sure revenue. That's guaranteed revenue because they open more prisons, more jobs for the good people to work in.
Yeah.
The people who can work in those positions.
Well, I wonder in this circumstance, okay, to say somebody is a criminal, and if we're all criminals by signing the paper and getting the license and the number, that's kind of the same thing as saying we're all sinners via some of the good book. So then, you know, those good books are implanted in all these agencies, even correctional facilities, and they'll hand out the good book saying that this is wrong, but they won't do anything about it. Why? Because they're transforming themselves to go under the guise of an image that doesn't support the good book and the ways of kindness and love. And, you know, they're manipulating the good book to extract what they want out of it and ignore anything. And when you're broken down and you're exhausted and you haven't talked to your family and you're scared and you're feeling threatened, you're just going to look for any bit of positivity because this is toxic. You know, I mean, just leading up to this, you know, these segments that we're making, they're broken up into pieces, but to have the preparation to get our minds ready, you know, it's a PTSD style thing. You know, I mean, there's lots of different
Maybe
things.
it's almost therapy. I don't know.
Oh, it's certainly, you know, we're getting closer by this because what's going on in the world should have been addressed 20 years ago. There's other people doing the same type of things in different forms. And, you know, we just had it because, you know, we dealt with it on a regular basis. We're seeing other people, like, address it, but they're not doing anything about it. It's still continuing. It's still blowing up and getting worse. And nobody's looking at people like us for the information because they say, okay, this guy's crazy and he doesn't conform to the regular ways of the world. Or this guy has, you know, a family and he's not in the same life or working the same thing. Or maybe, you know, maybe some of us made mistakes when we were kids growing up. You know, and another thing is okay, you know, there's the possibility of reform for everything. So you take like the judge that was against me, you know, Catherine Nelson. You know, she actually did, you know what, there was bad things going on. And right away, she got out of jail quick. Her probation was up, you know, and she gets reelected as a judge. Why? Because they know that reform is possible. And for them, it's the next word. They can say, oh, you know what, I know what I did. I'm not going to do anything else about it. I'm not going to do that again. Okay, we forgive you. But now us, okay, oh, well, you know what? There's a chance you might do it again in our eyes because you're not the same as us. So we're going to make money off you by keeping you come into the system and aggravate you and deplete your life, make the social structure and your family structure and your security and you know, sustenance structure around you, you know, fall apart. And then we're gonna see you as inadequate because of your composure and your devastation.
Make you feel inadequate.
Yes, sir. And then, you know, they keep you there. So
Yep.
why should they have remedy and correction with so quick and have that available to them, and we have to wait and go through the process? That again, it's there because people are signing, they're not fighting, they're not complaining, and they're scared. Okay?
Cowards.
Yeah, they're cowards.
I felt coward with the feeling of being, but something inside of me, I couldn't fall subject to that cowardice.
Because you know it's not right.
No.
You know it's
People
not
don't
right.
like that though either, because it seems like there's like a thing where if you don't cower down and submit, you know.
They're going to get worse. It's a threat. It's like having a narcissistic parent. It's a dictatorship. It's fascism. It's what communism is. And then you get, you know, everybody from your grandmother to say, oh, your muffler's too loud, the cops are going to get you. Or, you know, or other people that have been in jail for bad reasons are like, well, everybody goes through it because, you know, their friends and your family are watching 30 Days in the Hole. And cops, and, you know. That's as ridiculous as, okay, you know, a Navy guy back in the day could have tattoos, but anyone else is a scumbag. Okay, and this generation, that generation which fortified these rules, couldn't even say the word pregnant without getting in trouble. You know, I mean, this is ridiculous. And remember Prohibition? Why should we have to go through the process again for other things that could help people? Anyway, those are off subjects, but you know, we filled the time slot up with other things. But basically, it's all rounded, and it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the police.
Well, the truth is
doing their job only instead of thinking they're one of us.
This uniform isn't substituting what you really want to purvey to, say, a real cop's in here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's hard because it's
because I know you relate to me.
Yeah.
Now, if you were a real police officer, you would actually see my side and relate.
Challenge.
Right, but then I would know that your history, so I would be able to say, okay, but if you've been a cop for 10 years, say you've taken 68 people to jail because their piece of plastic license wasn't renewed, even if they had the same registration for years and they couldn't afford to renew that, and, you know, they had insurance. So I would be able to attack you for that in a verbal sense.
That's a danger to society, not having that piece of plastic, sir.
Well, you know, the thing is in my circumstance, I had the representative for the DMV on the stand because they thought they were going to do me in, and Mr. Raleigh, okay, do I lose my ability to operate my personal conveyance or my household appliance for the purpose of traveling if I don't have a piece of plastic license? No. And the answer was no. So clearly right there it shows that the statutes are infringing on our constitutional and civil rights and actually terrorizing us on an untruth. You know, because if I'm 46 years old, obviously if I've been had a license to operate, you know, and taken the test, you know, which certain parameters, yes, but once it gets over the limit, I don't agree with those things. I'm sorry. Okay, but
basic things we're talking. We're not talking
Right.
about.
Right, so I know how to operate a piece of roadworthy machinery to travel in. I have insurance to protect myself. So now because the piece of plastic gets expired or revoked because of something, okay, I do not lose my motor skill ability. Okay, so what they're saying is that I lose that ability, so I'm not capable, and then you get people that have no idea, that live in a bubble all their lives, say, well, you can't drive, you can't travel without a license or ID. Oh yeah, well I just did. Okay, but that was unlawful, so now we're going to take you to jail. Okay, well guess what? It's unlawful for you to support that, so I'm going to put you in jail because you're violating constitutional civil rights, and you become public enemy number one, and maybe that's treason. Like if the judges and state's attorneys that back that, that's a treasonable offense. I believe so, because it's racketeering and it's a pyramid scheme, which is something else too. Okay, you know, it involves the N-word, but I'm not going to say it because a black man corrected me, and he says the cops would actually be called Sambos because they're cracking, okay, on us as property, and the plantation owners and masters and crackers are the state's attorneys, the judges, and the governor and the senator, okay, and it trickles down the line. So, you know, that's a heated discussion to have, but those labels perfectly define it. And when the 13 colonies were established, there was slavery, and it was to protect the colonies and their owners of the estates that came states, broke apart because families got bigger and diversified. So the estate owners were the plantation masters and owners, and they employed the crackers and the Sambos followed to protect their family by cracking on their own people.
Yep.
So technically, I've discussed this for years with people. So the cops really can be labeled as that. It is what it is.
These are topics.
I'm not making it up, and I didn't just come out here in this life and for 46 years, okay, let me plot and create this whole world of information like Tolkien or the guy that did Avatar, and come out here and just throw up on you my imaginary world. They've given this to us. So, I mean...
It's information. Really good information.
Yeah, so the purpose of this video is just to break the ice a little bit, because we should have officers, like, when something happens, the police chief gets up there, yeah, we're very sorry for what happened here. We're going to take the proper issues. We got him on leave right now, and he's on a paid vacation. Because he's stressful, his paid leave, he's in Fiji right now with his family while the heat is on. And meanwhile, the family that got devastated, they're crying. They're having to make arrangements. Their financial structure's breaking down, and Sambo is in Tahiti. And when he comes back, he'll have a desk job, or he'll still get benefits. Or he'll be able to go get a different job in the same field somewhere else.
Making just as good money.
Yeah, that shouldn't be anyway, because if you can get a felon or anything like that for an actual crime, then if a police officer should be totally barred, and lawyers stuff should be totally barred, no pun intended with the bar attorney, British Attorney's Registry. That's absolutely ridiculous. More subjects to go. It's all food for thought. Hopefully we can see it. And get some aid.
You never know.
But I mean,
might get a healthy mind one day and a healthy heart.
I mean, we're rolling back and forth. But, you got anything else to disclose on this circumstance here?
Well, I brought some chai tea.
Yeah, see, we're trying to establish some zen right here. Something else too is like the aggression level that you portrayed in the scene. That's real. I've dealt with that plenty of times. More escalated than that. I've been bossed around, I've been surrounded, I've been placed in handcuffs, I've been made to sit down, I've been pushed around, I've been made to sit in the car, I've been frisked many different times.
Degraded.
It is degrading. But, like some people would see the video and, it was fun to put the special effects in there because it was enlightening, because I'm not a cop hater. I just don't like what they do, and so many of them are weak, and so many of them suck.
They do suck.
Yeah, and they're no different than someone impersonating a cop. They're just getting paid and they're registered while they're doing it.
Well, what's messed up is there's good people, bad people out there, and there's hurt people, and there's people that are screwed up. But the thing is, when you take on this, if you're a cop and you put one of these on, you're supposed to become something good and helpful, not something hurtful.
Protect and serve, and this is build community. They're not building communities; they're building cash cows. Farming us like cattle.
And the idea that Danny has said before, if we have this neighborhood right here, and say Joe, Bill, and Bob, officers, where you want to call them, your personal, are the ones that patrol this area, okay, well, down at the town council hall, every so often, come meet your local officers, let them meet your family.
A meet and greet.
And get to know each other, and have their families there.
Yeah.
Make it human.
Yeah, this actually they could be safer and their job could be better too. Because let's say if they started doing that from a while ago, say Dick patrolled this neighborhood, and now little Billy, who's half his age, who's in his 20s, is gonna. So we all meet him. Oh yeah, Dick's gonna show him around. We're gonna get to know everybody, and it's like. Because I've had people call the police on their cell phones and complain about me while I was working at night, and then the police show up and harass me. So it's like. The same thing could happen. It's like, okay, you know what, yeah, we got some vagrant around here, but then the cop's duty becomes different. But, it's like my mind. I don't want to take off the subject, but that's the point, is we need to know who's around, too. And if somebody's younger especially, they might have been playing video games. So they wake up in the morning, they might play a video game, shooting 1,000 people, right? So then they go to work and they put their uniform on, right? Maybe they're pissed off in between, they get to do what they want to do. So now they got the gun on them just like they're dormant, right? So on their lunch breaks and breaks, they play a little more games. So then they get off of work and they're playing a little more games. They're killing thousands of people, So, I mean, that's unhealthy too. You know, so it's like a kill fix. You know, and then they put the uniform on. And like, how healthy is that? You know? And then let's go eat a bunch of red meat. You know, and if you want, okay, mad cow, that's a reality. I mean, for the hunters out there, I'm not against you, because I grew up like that. You know, but everything needs reform. You know, it's a totally different subject. But everything connects too, because the metabolism and livelihood and peace of a cop's life is important too. You know? And then they want to get involved with our private side as police, so they put the clothes on, take their uniform up, they fake it, they end up, you know, going in our community, okay, and then they're living a half life because, you know, and what about all the, you know, the people with the, you know, racially diversified relationships, you know, when they come home from work and, you know, their coworker beat or killed somebody. You know, so then these people that are police officers are playing a double life. So, you know, they're living in our life, and then they step out to make money, and then, okay, well, we can't have them as friends because, you know, they're on the other side now, and we're in the right. You know, so it's like, you're the sovereign citizen. The police are the natural people that are in sovereignty, and they're taking the liberty to act like a citizen on patrol. So, you know, they're the wrong ones in the whole circumstance.
Of course, they want to classify others as such.
Yeah. I've been called that many times. Miss Hudson in the court. When we're done with these southerners right here. I got your number. You're going down, Miss Hudson. You're gonna pay for that comment. You labeled me in court. You discriminatorily.
On record?
On record. Profiled me.
On record.
Yes, ma'am.
Huge
Terrible.
One.
In court.
That's the thing. They really don't care about what they vow themselves to and their oaths, because on record, if you go over anything that's been on record over so many courts, you will see the disgust.
Yeah, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. Nobody wants to look at that because you're not allowed to have court records. Technically you are, but they put you through thick and thin to get there. You know, they send you like to multiple floors of the courthouse, and they send you to multiple offices, and they're like, well, we've never done with that, you know, because they're not familiar with it, or they know it's the wrong office. So I spent a week going up and down in the courthouse. You have to have a form to fill out to represent yourself pro se. It took me like almost a month to establish that. Going to the courthouse under threat and everything, and then all of a sudden there's a huddle with 5 clerks. Well, sir, if you didn't contract an attorney, you already are representing yourself. You know, so that's another runaround they give you.
You know, what was saying that too is, if you were, say, someone who maybe felt that something was unjust that was done by a cop or whatever, or the system, and they make you feel threatened already as it is, so then you feel, well, if I go down to that police station to get my records of that, I feel threatened going there, because that's what they want. They want you to feel intimidated. They want you to feel threatened, so you don't proceed to get information.
Yeah, it's called exhaustion, because then, you know what, you took one day off of work to try and do this, right? So they run you around. Guess what? You take another day off of work, you might get fired. And this is where employers need to understand, you know, if you know somebody or you employ somebody that's going through some stuff and they want to represent themselves, you know, that's better than being on the jury for jury duty, which is another total scam. It's another video. But is this privilege? Maybe not. Anyway, I think we exhausted the crap out of this one. You know?
It's good.
I wanted to give a little sound.
I like that monkey suit, by the way.
Yeah, I like your monkey suit. You damn drone. I always give a piece. A piece of this. A piece of this. Thanks, folks.